Well, let's tell you what happened overnight if you hadn't heard it yet. Fiat Chrysler is withdrawing its Renault merger offer. That announcement came suddenly. It was just hours earlier that the companies were planning to put out a joint statement saying that plans were moving ahead after getting an okay from the Renault board. In a statement, Fiat said it has become clear that the political conditions in France do not currently exist for such a combination to proceed successfully. France, of course, the French government owns 15% of Renault. Renault shares on this, well, first we'll take a look at Fiat shares up by 1 cent. But if you check out Renault shares and see what's been happening, yeah, they're down by 6.25%, and that's what Kevin is referring to.
I spent too many hours last night on the phone with many of the participants in this transaction to figure out what went wrong, because only a week ago
the French government
it
board
felt
members.
like it was, well, it's a very interesting situation.
The Nissan board members were going to sit out of it, right?
It's a very interesting situation about what really happened, which is the deal had been struck effectively between the chairman of Renault and the chairman of Fiat Chrysler with the blessing of Macron, with the French. So the view was this was going to happen. Last week, if you'll remember, GE announced that they were going to slash 1,000 jobs from the old Alstom.
Right.
And Ford.
Which changed the equation. And all of a sudden, inside France, the finance minister got involved in these negotiations and effectively tried to recut the deal. And so they wanted to move the CEO headquarters to France. They said they wanted to have a favored nation clause. If you're going to close plants at all or anywhere, you're going to do it elsewhere first. You're going to keep these jobs. I mean, they wanted a permanent representative on the board forever.
What it tells you as a shareholder is they have a super voting right with their 15% holding. The only option you have this morning as a shareholder of Renault is to get out of the equity, which in my view will go a long grind to zero towards the nationalization one day, and own the bonds if you have to own this miserable situation. I think you want to avoid it like the plague. The government's played its hand. I think this is a horrible outcome for them.
Apparently, John Elkann tried to get out of this deal, who runs Fiat Chrysler, was trying to get out of this thing as of last weekend, saying, guys, this doesn't look like it's going to work. They kept saying, give us more time, give us more time, give us more time. We will get there. And that's why I think there was a sense that they were going to get there. However, this whole idea that this is a problem with Nissan and they somehow needed to get Nissan's permission.
No, those two board members were sitting on the side.
No. So what happened was, so there were two Nissan board members who said, look, we are going to abstain. Then the French government at the last minute said, actually, I know we've dealt with all these other issues. We're not going to do this deal unless we can get the Japanese on board, which was never conditional of the whole deal. To which they said, we're going to fly to Japan today. The plan was they were going to fly to Japan, somehow convince the Japanese government to convince Nissan to have their two abstaining board members change their vote.
To vote against?
No, to vote for the deal. The French government was this was a smokescreen. The whole thing was a smokescreen to get out of the deal. That's what happened here.
So what does John Elkann do now?
Well, that's a real question. I think there's a legitimate question whether, he'll be better off independently than he would have been in this mess.
I mean, I think the answer to that is yes.
I think this would have been a real mess for the next 5 years. No question.
You don't think the moral of the story is that, you remember with Alstom how hard it was for GE to satisfy the French government? It took so long that it actually screwed the deal.
We've talked to Barry Sternlicht, who said he wouldn't do anything in any hotel business there because you can't make the changes.
You don't think it's maybe not a great idea that the government is so involved with
I don't think you want to be partners with the French government.
It's just a learning experience for any government.
Anywhere where the government's your partner, where the outcome isn't horrendous long term.
China.
They are the business.
That's what I mean. Over there, you can do pretty well with the government, I think.
Okay, well, I don't think we're going back to that system. But when you partner anywhere else with the government, the outcome is always bad. Long term, short term.
I think that's the moral of the story. I mean, I remember GE with Alstom. It's like the stuff that the government was, you can't.
Barry Sternlicht said they weren't going to do any hotels there because you can't, because of the unions there, you couldn't even shut down and fix the place to make it.
Are you in the yellow vest business? I'm surprised you haven't launched something to sell those things. No, that would be an immediate profit.
Here's a question for you, though: would you want to be in business with Nissan? And Nissan's not actually owned by the Japanese government.
But what changes in the big picture? Can you see in 10 years, 5 years, even less than that, somebody using Uber Eats and saying, make sure you deliver my egg rolls in a Renault? I need that brand. Like, it's irrelevant.
More likely, don't deliver it in a Renault. I wanted to get here.
I'm putting Renault aside. No, I'm saying if you're Fiat Chrysler right now, and you think to yourself, what are my other partner options?
Well, no. If you're watching Carlos Ghosn,
is actually a Nissan. Right.
I mean, if you're watching Carlos Ghosn and you think, okay, because they were going to potentially do a merger, if you believe anything that Caroline said, would you go follow that path?
Maybe this alleged embezzlement has a different
That's what his wife just said.
Well,
his wife just came out and said...
I'm beginning to think, hey, tell me more. Tell me more.
I mean, I don't know, but I think it would give me a lot of pause, particularly if I just ran into this problem with the French government.
I'd like to hear from him now. He must know something. That's really intriguing.
That's what they're alleging. That's what his wife alleges.
Well, she's always going to speak his book, right? I'd like to get an independent look at it now. But maybe he's got some merit to his claims that he's innocent.
But there could be a case where maybe he was a little greedy, and some of those situations are absolutely out there, but maybe there was something else afoot, too.
I've never heard of a corporate CEO that's greedy. Not a problem.